Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, pick guardian.
Dear Brandon wound pickups.
Hey, it's me, Todd Novak. We are thrilled to death that you are listening to the Guitar Knobs podcast with us in our studio, even though you're not. Tony, what do we do on this show?
We like to talk about gear, specifically the producers and makers of this gear.
Yep.
Specifically boutique gear.
That's right.
That would include things such as guitars, such as amplifiers, pickups, pick guards, pedals. And occasionally we have an episode, Jared,
of 101 stuff, like amps, and we'll learn about pickups and learn about guitar necks
and all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
all sorts of guitar
And we got somebody
stuff.
like that on the line today. Who is with us today?
This is Matt from Wren And Cuff. Woohoo! Excitedly here.
Yes.
Yes.
the guitar industry.
With my sexy radio voice.
Yes.
According to Todd.
That'll work.
We're going to have an awesome show. Matt, I will say this is, I've wanted to have you on the show for a very long time. Actually, I think in our first year that we started, I was like, that's somebody I need to get on the show. And we're doing it now. And that's good enough for me. We're in a good place now. Yes.
Yeah, I remember you hit me up, and then I think we made a rough plan to do it, and then I kind of forgot about it for some reason.
It happens.
And then I was going through old email, and I was like, hey, I wonder if that guy still wants to do that.
I appreciate this.
We're still here.
Yes. You're giving me the shot. So everybody out there, if you are not, if you have not heard of Wren And Cuff, make sure you go check it out. And even if you have, go check it out right now. Get on your Instagram. Look them up. Where are you at for Instagram, Matt?
Just Wren And Cuff at that. And then we have our custom shop is WC Custom Shop. Same for the websites, wrenandcuff.com, wccustomshop.com.
Nice. Perfect. We'll get into the custom shop. That's kind of a cool thing you're doing. We'll get into that during the interview portion of our podcast. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. We are happy you are with us. We've got all of our special segments. We're going to roll out one at a time. This is going to be a great time. We got a couple announcements, gents.
What is that?
Well, we need to say thank you to Rode Microphones for providing the Rodecaster Pro, this beautiful machine that makes this happen for us. It is a special thing for us.
It's a sexy machine.
It sure is. It's almost as sexy as Matt's voice.
Not quite.
Although I would never say that in front of anyone else. And also for the Procaster mic and the special holder, the
articulating arm, if you will.
Yes.
But I've become more partial now to the foam windscreen.
Yes, those help. They're not totally necessary.
It keeps the S's,
but
and the pop.
Yeah, that's true.
Down.
That's
well,
true.
if you sneeze, it protects the microphone.
yeah,
That's right. It's hermetically sealed.
You have to
screen.
Change it. Anyway, so
you ever done that playing live where you playing and you stick your face on the microphone and you just realize like, oh man, nobody's washed this thing for like
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's when I started keeping my own microphone. In
That's
fact,
right.
a funny story, I was recording one time in my younger days, and the place we were recording didn't have proper pop screens. So I found myself singing into a coat hanger covered with control top pantyhose.
Well, there you go.
It works.
Yeah, it worked. I don't know where they got them.
Necessity is the mother
Pretty
of
sure they weren't
invention.
new.
I wouldn't ask.
You can also wrap a couple of tissues, put them on top, and then pull the pantyhose over it. It works good too.
Oh yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Did any of you guys? I don't know if you're old enough to have experienced the electric shock pop.
Oh God, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah! I've been,
That's oh my God, that is like possibly the worst feeling on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
And everybody's watching
I've
you
had
too.
bad ones, and then I had to just power through it because Matt's club and the sound man just kind of like off with his girlfriend or something.
Yeah,
and you're just like, man.
yeah, the
just gotta
arc's
power
coming
through.
across. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I thought things had improved since I was playing out, but apparently still the same old
you get what
nasty
you pay for.
electricity at the clubs.
Yeah.
I have a Shure 55 that I used for a couple of bands, and I found myself, when you're in the moment and you got your head back and you're like rocking, and then you got to come back in for the chorus and lean forward and you go clank, and you just
the
bang
old
your teeth right
Oh,
into
that's
the 55.
the 55 is the big Elvis mic, right?
Yeah. Not fun. But anyways, we don't have to worry about that with these Rode microphones. They're awesome and they're padded.
Thanks, Rode.
Yeah, I totally interrupted your Rode pitch.
No, you're all good, man. It gave us context of why these are awesome. We also want to say thank you to Barefoot Buttons for helping us out over the last couple episodes. We've highlighted some of their awesomeness, and today we're going to tell you about the custom laser etching that you can do on the buttons that you ordered.
What is it etched with?
It says right here, get custom graphics laser etched on any Barefoot button. $8 one-time logo setup fee per logo, and then $2 per button marked. So that's every time you get a button with that logo, it's an extra $2 to your.
So you pay a one-time fee, and then it's $2 a button.
Yeah.
Nice.
On top of the button that you buy.
Could you have it marked on, off?
You can. In fact, that's a really good point. They also offer standard etched labels for $2 a button with no setup fee. And this is actually a pretty cool idea. They offer on, off, tap, drive, up, down, loop, bank,
on,
tuner.
off, really?
Yeah. Tuner, mute, delay, reverb, mod, and pitch.
I was joking.
Would you need on, off, though?
I mean,
shit,
somebody does.
I just did the pop screen.
Yeah, somebody must. They came up with it. So, anyhow, these are. And
Can I see that?
Yeah, that's what we do with the ones that we give away when you become a patron on Patreon.
Oh, how nice!
Yeah. So, anyways, and this is on one of their tall boys, which is over an inch tall. And I actually, at first, when I saw those, I was like, "Why? I don't know why I would need that." And then I realized why I need that. On one of my pedals, I have a smaller sort of MXR size pedal, which is a little bit shorter than the other two pedals that they're next to, and it actually does help make up for the sort of like the level that your foot goes for, so you're not kind of overstepping or missing it. I didn't think that was going to be a thing. It was a thing, and so my tall boy actually helps out with that.
Nice.
Yeah, you don't want to step on the the gain and the overall volume and stuff like that.
Okay, so make sure you go check out these Barefoot Buttons at barefootbuttons.com. You also get free shipping with anything over $15 in the US, which is pretty nice. So get your custom laser etched thing, make it a gift for a friend, do whatever you like, or just go get some regular buttons.
Christmas is a-coming.
They got all kinds. Go check them out. They're great people too, and that does matter. Dealing with good people makes a huge difference.
Those things could literally be lifesavers for your favorite pedal.
They could be.
I mean,
Yeah. Or buttons. Right. All right. So thanks to Rode for taking care of that. Also, we want to call quick attention. We got a really nice letter from one of our new patrons, brand new patron, Cody Lane.
All right,
that's right. He sent us a little letter.
Cody.
Says, "Hey guys, I just started listening to your podcast and I can't stop. Neither can we.
No,
that's right.
Unstoppable.
I've listened to your interview with Small Sound Big Sound and just started into the episode with Mask Audio Electronics. I love how much knowledge, ideas, and pedals and gear to try, and creativity, only on 1.5 episodes that has already inspired me. I'm a dad with 1 kid, and I have a career, and I'm a full-time musician in Seattle, Washington. Despite the little time I have in my daily schedule, you inspired me to push to do more. Awesome.
Nice.
Pretty cool. This certainly won't be the last you hear from me, so to start, I'd like to leave you with my current 4 on the floor. Here we go. This is current 4 on the floor, right? Number 1, Digitech Ricochet. Number 2, Solasound Blue Moon Bum Fuzz by UK talent David Main. I don't know that one. The number 3, Strymon Big Sky.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard of that one before. Yeah. And number 4, the TC Electronic Hall of Fame 2.
Okay.
Reverb, yes. Cody plays in a band called Swamp Heavy, and I tried to describe this to Jared as a fully submerged monster truck at full throttle trying to get through a mud pond.
With
fully
machine guns
submerged
on it.
With machine guns
with
going
machine
too.
guns. Yeah, a full 50 cal going full blaze on the back. Anyways, thanks so much to Cody Lane for doing that and sharing that with us, and for the kind words. We appreciate it. Gentlemen and Jared, we need to figure out what we were doing this week in our music world. Tony, why don't you kick us off?
This week has just been busy.
Okay.
But the best thing that happened this week is I got my Eric Carmen Joan Jett Melody Maker project back from MJT Custom Finishes.
Man, that thing is so cool.
And I reassembled it in a few hours. I mean, I was just so excited about it.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait. And it just came out incredibly well.
Yeah.
I mean, the MJT did an incredible job on the finishing. Everything went together like a charm. There's only a handful of projects that I've ever done, especially after you do a refin, that a couple of tweaks to the truss rod and everything lines up. The strings were, everything was in the right place. So it was kismet.
Yeah.
And it's a great guitar.
I
love
mean,
it.
if you look at that, aside from the brand new pickguard and brand new hardware, it looks every day as old as what is 60.
It's a 65.
65?
It is. I mean, it started as a 60. I mean, it is.
But
a
the
65.
finish looks.
You would say
you'd never know.
That was a finish from the 1960s.
And the neck on that thing is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it plays really good.
Yeah, sure does.
So I'm very, very happy, very excited. That was a project that took a little longer than I wanted it to, but I'm very pleased with the results.
And it's aged white with a white pickguard.
Yeah, parchment pickguard.
Which is cool look.
Yeah.
Cool look. I mean, it's not as cool as black and gold,
sparkle.
but
I think I'll do one in black and gold sparkle next.
Let's do that. Matt, how about you, buddy?
As far as the pedal world goes and all that, I mean, it's been busy. I just got back from Oklahoma City, and I think by the time this is out, all of our releases will be done and everything, so I can talk about it. But we're doing a signature pedal with Jay Mascis, and if anyone listening doesn't know Dinosaur Jr., they're kind of the grandfathers of the whole, Nirvana, like all that kind of scene.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
all those guys. And we kept going back, and he has this one muff that he is like, it's his muff that's always on his board.
Yeah,
we've fixed it for him a few times. It's just beat to hell, but it's got this really particular sound to it, and kind of what I do well and what we do well is being able to get sounds of actual units, of an actual pedal, and get all the nuances. And we're doing everything by mail, and so it was going back and forth. Like he would send us that one, I would sit, test it out, do everything, get it to where I thought it was sounding right. And it's funny because that guy, I kind of assumed he'd have like blown out ears and wouldn't really be able to hear anything, because when he plays, he stands like he has 2 full Marshall stacks behind him.
Yeah.
And then another, at least the show that I saw, and then another, I think it's like a twin, something like a twin. It might be, I don't know, some Fender, but he has it up and to his right side about head level.
Oh.
All of those are blasting. And then he has a treble booster going into a muff for, one of his core sounds. And the muff is turned to 10 with distortion to 10. I'm not joking. And then the treble booster's turned to 10 on the most trebly setting.
Jeez.
So
how is that
just
possible?
like and he doesn't care. It's just like, he doesn't care that, and like, so if he stops playing when he's like, messing around, it's just like coming through his amp.
I was going to say, how does he control the feedback? I mean, that's
he has a Bradshaw rig, so he just literally just turns it off. He's kind of got that down.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I assumed with all that going on that his ear wouldn't be that great. But dude, he'll like, we'd send him like 2 protos that I thought nailed it. They sounded good to everyone in the shop. We all went around with it, and then he's like, "There's a little bit of this missing." And then I'd like listen later. We'd get the pedal back again, and I'd be like, "Damn it, he was right."
Yeah.
Like there'd be these And we did this a few times, and I finally, we're getting ready to release the pedal, and I finally just emailed his manager, and I was like, hey, I got to sit down with him and like be there with his whole rig and everything. And I was like, I don't even care. I'll fly out to wherever you guys are on tour.
Yeah.
But I was like, I need a solid hour with him. And just for that hour, tell me the show, tell me where it is, tell me when you have the time, and I'll just go out there and just bite the bullet.
Yeah.
And I went out there and did that, and it was, it paid off in spades. It was like so easy to do. There was a little part of it that the bias gets a little funky on one of the parts, and I think that's what he likes about it. So I was able to put a little adjuster on there and just kind of like really, really dial it in, like the kind of thing maybe someone else wouldn't even notice, but like just to get it really perfect. And we sat down and nailed it all and got his approval on it all. So I just got back from that a few days ago, and met with Keeley too out there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he and I text sometimes and everything, and he's always been really cool. So I hit him up because he lives in Oklahoma City.
Yeah,
and he was super cool. Came out and picked me up, and then gave me a tour of the shop. And
oh, nice.
Went and got some breakfast. Told me some funny stories, and yeah, it was
like
fun.
A best day ever, man.
Oh, and I got to chill with Kurt Vile.
Okay,
and, that was fun. He really, really nice dude, and he. It's funny. I gave him a couple of pedals. He's like, yeah, I think I've heard of you guys, blah, 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 and gave him a couple of pedals. and then that was at this LA show because I live in LA. I went by, and then this Dinosaur Jr. was playing, and he just happened to be there hanging out. He wasn't playing. He's like, I think I've heard of you guys. So I brought him to a couple of the show, and then he's like, yeah, I figured out I have one on my board that I've had for like 3 years.
Nice.
I was like, oh, cool. He's had I don't know how well you know our pedals, but he had a Box of War, the original ones we had were these big, super heavy ones, and he had one of those on his board. I was like, all right, that works out nicely.
Oh, that's awesome. That sounds fun, man. That's
you caught me at a great time to ask me like, what's going on?
Yeah, that's quite a week.
Yeah. Okay, so Jared, what do you have going on?
Jared.
Yeah, what do you got going on, Jared?
I changed the strings on one of my guitars. No, man, actually have a new product that will probably be, I'll probably have the thing in my hands by the time this episode comes out, so we'll talk about that later. I've been thinking about trying to find a hurdy-gurdy.
What?
You know what a hurdy-gurdy is?
Yes, I know what a hurdy-gurdy is.
That's what I want. I want to try to tackle
you mean like
playing a hurdy-gurdy.
Oh, to play it? Or
yeah, I want to try to play it.
Pick up on it.
No.
Okay.
I want to purchase one and try to learn to play the thing. I know how to play violin.
You can purchase the ones that you build by yourself.
No, I'm not going to build nothing.
Right, anyways.
Yeah.
Funny.
No. No. So I could play guitar. I could play violin.
I wish I could say I knew what that was. I have no idea what that is.
So what a hurdy-gurdy is, it's like a big, giant, fat violin, except for instead of having a bow that you run across the strings, it's got a circular, crank. Well, it's got a circular wood thing that vibrates the strings as it runs underneath the strings instead of over top with a bow, and it's got the crank at the end of the thing, and then it has a keyboard with a bunch of little keys that you press, and I forgot what they call them. There's a name for that, but they're not
almost acts
keys.
like an auto harp.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's hard to explain, and there's drone strings as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you already know how to play this, or you want to learn how?
I want to learn how. I think I could figure it out pretty quickly.
Do you have kids?
No.
That's why you have time to learn how to.
Absolutely. I own my own business.
Yeah.
I make my own schedule.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn how to play the hurdy-gurdy. Nothing's going to stop me.
Good, man.
But these things...
If you have it, just know that if you do have kids later on, you're not going to have time to do that.
I think later on
now is the time.
Yeah.
Later on, I think it's past for me.
Yeah.
But...
remind everybody... why the hurdy-gurdy? Like, it's tied to your favorite bands of all time.
Oh, Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. So,
well, that's not really why.
Well, yeah. So what song is that one on?
In the evening.
In the evening.
In the beginning of In the Evening.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a really cool instrument. And once you hear it, everybody out there listening, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's what that thing is. But nobody really realizes what that instrument is called.
Yeah.
It's kind of a funny name, but they've been around for well over 100. I mean, they go way back to the...
they're
more
like
than 100
medieval.
years,
yeah, I mean, those...
Hundreds.
Like...
It was the people's instrument of medieval times.
There you
So
go.
there's 2 to 3 to 4 string, and none of these are really built the exact same. So you have many different varieties of string setups. Like you could have 2 or 3 or 4 drone strings, and you can change the tunes and the notes of those drone strings.
And
with either
historically,
switches.
those are all animal gut strings,
gut
if I
strings.
recall. Yeah.
That's right. And I think
Gross.
I think they're...
That's what they used to do classical strings with, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think they actually make animal gut strings anymore. I think they're synthetic gut strings.
I don't
But anyway.
I think there's a couple out there that you can get. There's a couple guys that still make them, if I remember correctly, like
There must be.
boutique-y sort of things.
Yeah, you're right. I ought to look that up for my
There's still
violin.
plenty of animal guts to get.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
All
true.
right. Well, so that's cool. Hurdy-gurdy.
So you're gonna
Tell us
add
when
a-
you get
I'm
that.
going to try to. I mean, they're really, to get a decent one, a beginner level
expensive.
decent one, you're going to shell out at least 17 to, $2,000 to $3,000.
Why don't you invent?
Dude, what if you figured out how to make your own gut strings and made them?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not
you
a
could
bad
do a
idea.
whole podcast just on that.
Yes,
gut
it's
strings?
turning into that. So, anyways, what I was doing this last
I can
week.
see Todd says so anyways a lot.
Hey Todd.
Yeah,
Hey Todd. What happened in your week this work?
exactly. So this week, I got a little thing in the mail from Sean Wright over at Lollygagger.
Lolly.
Yeah,
Sean!
he sent me a prototype of a new pedal he's working on, and it's a pretty dang cool. It's really straightforward and really simple, but what I like about it, so it's got a volume knob and a fuzz knob.
Volume and fuzz.
Okay, and that's connected to one foot switch. On the other foot switch, that enables your voltage. So you're able to dial up or dial down the voltage, which basically gives you the fuzz on its own doesn't turn into super Velcro-y or anything. It's almost more of a gain, really, like just a full distortion. But the voltage turns it into like super splattery, crispy, or big fat. It's really cool. I like it because it doesn't necessarily sound like sometimes when you step on a fuzz, and this is one of the things I mentioned about with your pedal, the tall font with the bleed, is that it doesn't. I'm just not locked onto like, well, it's gonna sound like this pedal, right? And it's kind of nice. I really dig it. So, anyways, yeah, play with that, and it's cool. I like that Sean's out. He's got 2 pedals, the Canaglia, which is, we've said basically just sounds like a dragster. It's amazing. And he's got the Cherry Box, which is pretty rad. So yeah, new one for Lollygagger coming out.
Nice.
All right, we need to do this.
1, 2, 3, 4 on the floor.
All right, Matt from Wren And Cuff, we are going to bask in your 4 on the floor right now. Hit us.
All right. Well, instead of doing, my own pedals or any of my, contemporaries and friends of mine that have given me pedals and stuff like that, just to not leave anybody out or anything, I decided to go all vintage for this.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
But the one that's always on my board is my Japanese DS1 from 1979. When it's just always there. It makes me feel good when I have it on there. I feel weird if it's not. And it just got the sound where I like to crank it up, roll back the gain, and then hit the front of a Fender amp with it, particularly mine. And I have a reissue reverb, the 15-inch speaker, and roll the volume off. And a lot of people are really surprised that I'm able to get the these really, really cool sounds with it. But that's just, I want, and it's got this weird, for some reason, Boss back in the day, they decided to do a blinking LED on their first round of pedals. So it would you'd hit the bypass and it would just flash, and then you'd hit it again and it would flash to tell you it's off. It was really pointless. I have no idea why they decided to do that.
That's not
But it's
distracting
one-
or anything, right?
No, well, it's just you're always like, you're doing the thing where you're like, wait, is it on? Is it off? So I have to, and the bypass buffer sucks on it, so I just put it on a true bypass loop so I could see if it's on or not. But that, and then I have a Boss DD2, which was the very first digital delay that Boss did. Somebody would probably tell me I'm wrong, and I'm not positive, but I think it was the first digital delay pedal back when digital delay was like the big thing, and everyone was like, "Whoa, I can get this much delay out of it," and "Whoa, I don't have to have all the noise of an analog," even though they're still noisy as hell.
Yeah.
So, and I love that one. It's the way it sounds is it's like it sounds kind of halfway between digital and analog. It's got this weird grainy thing to it, but a lot of people are also, they're surprised that my favorite delay is not, all analog and stuff like that. But I'm not a huge all analog delay guy. I like a little bit of, I don't know, something in there that I found analog gets a little squishy on me sometimes, which is what people love about them. They get that squishy sort of like delay and that swirly kind of thing underneath. Mm-hmm. You really get them going, but not swirly like a chorus, but liquidy.
Yeah,
I guess I'd say. And
you're not the first one who said that, man. I mean, we've had a lot of top players and top builders basically say like DD2, man, or even the DD3.
Yeah, DD3 is usually the one people like.
Yeah.
It's also got this thing. It's so weird where you can get a quote sample on it.
Yeah.
And I think you get like a second maybe, or like half a second. So it's like impossible to control. You sort of play something and step on it and it goes into this loop thing. But it's really cool to just get like, random noises out of it and stuff, because you're really limited. So you have to like try and get something within that. Mm. So that's my other staple. And then the first boutique pedal I ever got, that's why I said, I don't know if this qualifies. It's not, definitely doesn't qualify as vintage, but this is 10 years ago, somewhere between 10 and 15 years ago, my Achille compressor, which is just the original two knob. And like, even though we make a compressor now that I love, like I'll have both of them on the board. Sometimes part of it's just because I'm a weirdo and there's like that DS1 and that there's just certain pedals I have to have on there. Or I just don't feel right. They're like my little buddies, and I'm like, if they're just they're not in their places where I want them to be, it just, everything feels off. So, and it's also the first pedal that kind of taught me to like compressors. I didn't really get them before that, but just kind of decided I wanted one. And my wife and I were broke at the time, and so I had a birthday coming, and I was like, "This is all I want." Just, it was like, I think it was like 200 something at the time. There was a little more than they are now, and it was like this ungodly amount of money. It seemed like,
Yeah.
And so,
if I'm correct, I think he just hit. Like not like in the last week, but over the summer, I think it was, he just hit 700,000 units.
Wow.
That's it?
Is it 70,000 or 700,000? It doesn't matter.
I would bet. No, it's got to be 700,000, I would guess.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 700,000. 700,000 units. That one pedal it won't go away. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a ton of SKUs now, a ton of different.
Oh yeah.
Units, but that and his Tube Screamer mods were the two that really put him on the map.
Yep.
From what I remember, then he got into the other mods too and everything.
He was on and he went on a while and really appreciated what the Tube Screamer had to. He really loved that circuit.
Yeah,
and he went on about it for a while. I remember that.
Yeah. Cool dude. Mr. Keeley, hello out there.
And then my last one is just, not surprisingly, my tall font, my original tall font, Electro-Harmonix, Big Muff.
Nice.
It's the one that our tall font Russian was based on, and it's there's a few different versions of that pedal within that same enclosure. Like some of them use these 150K pots that I think they just had laying around. That you can't really find those now. They're weird. And then some of them use other pots, and some of them, have more gain, less gain. And the one that I have that I modeled ours after is this one it has the output's really low. The amount of distortion it has is pretty low. The mid scoop's pretty low. Like you probably have to turn it 3/4 the way up just to get it to line level. And, but it just sounds fantastic when you do. And it really, really accommodates bass really well too. And, so, rather than saying my own tall font, that's the one that I favorite vintage pedal, as far as what inspired all this and everything.
Yeah. Well, in your pedal specifically, I think one of the nice things about that you're kind of seem to be referencing right now is that, you get more in guitar, you get more guitar and amp through it because you're not overpowering your amp signal with the pedal.
Yeah. And it's also, I mean, I'm a big, sorry about that. I'm a big, proponent of less bass is more bass, and it's like sometimes, you can tell a lot of times I don't want to say beginner, but you'll see some companies that they'll make a bass distortion, for instance, and they just figure, when you're first learning pedals and it's just, I won't get all geeky with it, but there's input and output capacitors, and it's real easy to pick a higher value and that lets more in, and for the input, and pick a higher value lets more out. And so you kind of think, well, if I put this bigger capacitor in there, it's going to be better for bass. And that's true, like a little bit, but it's actually, if you get too much going through, especially like, the gain pedal with 4 different stages, everything just turns to mush. Like the low end just gets all murky. And, anyone that's played guitar has had that experience of like, if you don't use a muff right, you go to the big chorus and step on it and your signal just kind of disappears.
Yep.
Or if you're, playing bass, something like that, you have to kind of have to work them right.
Mm-hmm.
And, the tall font version, and again, it's the actual pedal that I have. I didn't make that pedal modeled on any sort of, on just a schematic online, or just like what the easy thing to do would have been to go, yeah, that's cool, but let me add a ton more gain. Let me get the level up better. Let me make it hotter and more exciting. Right. And let me turn my phone off because I left the ringer on. And,
that's all right.
There you go.
And so it would have been really easy to do that. But my buddy in Japan, this guy Tomokaz, who was, I don't know how much you want me to go on, but
go ahead.
He's this guy that, we've been really loyal to each other. And he's been the only guy in Japan that's ever carried our stuff. I don't sell anything direct to Japan. And we started a relationship with, this is way back when before we started, which was around 2007, 2008. But there was some weird delay pedal up on eBay, and this does all come back around to the tall font, I promise. And it was some funky delay, an analog delay, funny enough. And I messaged him and I was like, does this pedal, sound pretty good? Is it a cool analog delay? And he he doesn't speak a lot of English, and he just messaged me back, "It is not my favorite." I was like, okay, I like this guy already. He's he's straightforward with me, and to the point. And,
Right.
Yeah.
And then so I just in a message, I was like, hey, I've been making these pedals, and you might like. And he was like, I've been thinking about selling some pedals here. Maybe I could sell some of yours. And he now does One Control, brand that is, and they make all these like switchers and all that kind of stuff. And he has his own, pedal line and all that, but he now distributes pretty much everybody in Japan, but we were his first line that he ever distributed, which is kind of neat. And he asked me one time, he's like, can you make a Russian, one of the Russian pedals? And I was like, yeah, I don't. Keep in mind, this was, a while back. I was like, I don't think anyone's going to care about it though. And he was like, yeah, people in Japan like him. And I was like, all right. So I got a hold of at the time I didn't even have a vintage unit, and so I just bought one. I forget what it was, either on eBay or in a shop. It was actually, no, it was on eBay actually. I just went and I was like, I'll just buy one of these and see, because I didn't really get the whole, Russian muff thing either.
Mm-hmm.
And I got it, and like I said, I had the lower output and the lower everything, and I was like kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do, and I was like, screw it, I'm gonna clone this thing, like, I hate to use the term clone, but I'm gonna remake this thing exactly like it is, warts and all. I'm not gonna change anything on it. I'm going to try and cop that sound. I'm going to find some transistors that match up to it and everything. And either, people will dig it or they won't. And I made up, what was a huge order for me at the time. I think he wanted 10 of them. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to make these? And I'm like, I was literally just hand wiring together on perf board. And, so I made those, sent them over, and he sold them really quick. And then, forget how, but somehow Scott from Weezer, he's the bass player in Weezer, somebody told him about it or something. I forget what it was, but, I sent him one, and it just kind of started from there. Then he recommended it to somebody else, and, it just grew, and I was more surprised than anybody. It's like, wow, man, I thought people would be sending them back to me because they thought they were broken because the volume wasn't loud enough, and, all that kind of stuff. That's how I'm winding it all back around to the tall font. It was inspired by my buddy Tomokazu in Japan.
Huh.
And it's now, our best seller. It's always been.
That's fantastic. Was that the first pedal?
No, actually, funny enough, the first pedal was it was called the Pickle Pie, and it was a swollen pickle copy because at the time. Way Huge didn't exist because they had folded, went under, or just, closed for whatever reason. George just stopped doing it. And, and I went and I was playing this band I was in, had this like, quote unquote development deal thing at the time. And we were recording at this producer's house, and he had a lot of money and had this like, super boutique pedal board that just wasn't a lot of that out there at the time, and I was just like, what the hell are these? He had ZVEX on there, which were a fortune at the time, and he had like 4 Way Huge pedals on there. And, and I was like, what are these? I want these, but I can't buy these. And so I kind of taught myself how to make pedals with the Way Huge, and I was kind of like, I think people would buy these, if I do them, because he wasn't around. So I actually somehow dug up, George, who owns Way Huge.
Mm-hmm.
I dug up George Tripp's. I dug up his email from somewhere. I can't remember where I found it online or something. And I emailed him to say like, hey, is this cool? Do you mind? I just, to be cool about it. But I figured it doesn't matter because they're not around anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went ahead and made it and started selling them. Like 3 or 4 months later, I just get this email back. It's like, sure, man, just watch for trademark on the name. And I was like, all right, cool.
Wow.
And that was the very first one. And then the tall font was our third pedal, actually. There was another one in there called the Red Camel. But so, once Dunlop came out with the Way Huge reissues, I just said, screw it, and just stopped making the, I figured out it's kind of, it might be kind of weird, and I don't think people are going to be as interested now. So no, that was a really long way of saying no, that wasn't the first one. So,
I like the long way more often than not. I appreciate that. It's the color. That's what we all want. It's like we want to know all the inside scoop on everything. That's why we're doing this, man. So how does someone like you, how does someone like anyone, how did you start making pedals?
I was part of like I call it sort of the second wave of, boutique pedal guys where, at the time, there was this sort of sprouting, to be honest, I thought I had missed the wave of, about that, I was like, oh, I'm too late in on this. And little did I know, how many bazillion companies there are now.
Exactly.
I thought I had missed the boat on it, but there was a sort of burgeoning community on DIYstompboxes.com, and in internet time, that was like a million years ago. I mean, it was still just forum posts, and I mean, it's still essentially the same thing, but guys just helping each other do stuff. And this guy RG Keen was kind of godfather of that whole thing, and he was really helpful with people doing stuff. And I just kind of dove in and started doing hand wiring the pedals and everything. And one thing I'm really grateful for from that time is that you couldn't just go and buy all the kits and everything like you can now.
Yeah.
So I had like, I'm going to sound like old pedal guys, like those guys, blah blah blah. I'm not naming anyone, but there are guys now that just buy the kits and then put them together and then slap their own graphics on it, and they're like, "This is my da pedal" or whatever, and because it's easy to do now. And there's nothing wrong with that if you're a hobbyist, but
sure,
it irks me when I see people do it that are claiming that they're a company, but not a lot of them, but I'm glad that wasn't around, because I didn't even think to do it, because I had to literally, I went down to one Radio Shack, still had Radio Shack kind of stuff, and I went down and got the like perf board and the parts and all that stuff, and I had to sit and like try and wire it together. And like the first 4 pedals I made didn't even work. Like I literally was at one of them, I literally threw across the room because and I was like, I got it this time. I got everything down. I've studied everything. I studied the schematics. I've done all the stuff, and I took a little bit of electronics and around high school and stuff. And I was like, I got this. No way it's not going to work. The thing would not work. I sat there until it was like 3 a.m, just determined to get this where my wife's coming down, and she's like, you have to get up at 6. You got to watch the baby in the morning. And I was like, I don't care. And I threw the thing across. Anyways, it was really, I wasn't a natural at it right away, is what I'm going to say.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I build pickups, so there'll be times where I need to build several, bobbins at a time, could be 50 or 100. And when some of them just don't come out and they just don't work right off the winder, I've been in a pressure situation where they need to go out at a certain time, and I'll just feel pressured and upset. I'll just throw that thing against the concrete wall as hard as I can, and it feels good after that.
Jared's like 6'9",
it doesn't have a
pounds,
chance.
so.
It's never gonna. It's not gonna work after I did. It's just I scrap the wire and I reflect on how good it felt to throw the non-working bobbin up against the wall.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm the opposite, man. I'll get frustrated and throw something like that, and then I'm just like, I'm like, what the hell am I doing, man? Why am I wasting my time on this? What am I doing with my life? Like, if it's like 3 a.m, and I've like hurled something across the room.
Yeah.
I just get all into this like whole like bad headspace with it. When what's funny too is a lot of times it's not even something that I like. It might not be a project. Or I'm not talking about back then, the first couple of pedals, but I'm saying if I run into that same sort of thing now, that anyone that does this kind of stuff, you just run into it sometimes, the frustrating stuff.
Yeah.
Is a lot of times it's not even something that I have to finish. I just get like, I'm not good at quitting stuff. You know what I mean? Like where I'll sit and spin out, and there'll be like 5 hours go by, and I'm like, I don't even really need this. There's other crap I got to do late at night. I got to do this in the morning. And it just makes me insane if I can't figure it out, especially when it's one of those situations where everything is right. Everything's wired up right. Everything's perfect. I've done it a million times. I know how to do this. I know how to, make a new pedal, all that. And it just won't work right. And you're just like, and then, I'll drive home sometimes at night. And then all of a sudden on my way home, I'll be like, oh, I know what it is.
Yeah.
And then come back in the morning and like, desolder one wire, and it's like, works great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That weird obsessiveness that I think you kind of have to do this stuff sometimes.
It's difficult in the moment of frustration to realize that, hey, if I just take a step back and stop what I'm doing and go do something else for a while, maybe something will click.
Yeah. Totally.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. It sucks to tell yourself that because you're like, no,
because you want to get it done.
Figure it out right now.
It's like a semi-defeat. It's like it's not even a full defeat where you can just bask in the defeat. Oh boy,
it becomes like a mystery because I'm like, it's electronics. It follows mathematical laws. So if things are right, it will work. And if there's a problem with it not working, there is some component failing or something failing. And so it's all there right in front of me. But I have to figure out what that is. It's not that there's a gremlin living inside of it. It's not that there's a ghost in here that's out to get me. There's not some magical thing making it like it's right in front of me. And that's what makes me so frustrated is I'll be like, it's right there. Looking at it. There's something I haven't tested or something I haven't probed or something. It's right there. But I can't see what it is at that time. And that's what really, that'll get to me. It becomes this like treasure hunt where I'm like, no. And then when you find it, it's like, yes. Oh God. It's like, it's like, it's as good as sex sometimes. Like, yes, got it.
What's that like?
You mean with somebody else?
Right. So what was one of the toughest designs that you had to create or recreate?
See, for me, it's not like I don't make, we have, like our analog chorus and tremolo and stuff like that. We have circuits that get big and get a little complicated, but for me, those aren't necessarily the hardest. The hardest are, like this, this J Mascis pedal where it's like, a big muff circuit to anyone that does electronics. It's not a rocket science, very simple circuit, very simple setup, but to try and like really get the tone of another unit, which is what we do on, we've done on every one of our pedals. That's kind of my thing is, doing modeled after a specific unit that I have, or that I get a hold of or somebody sends me and I'm like, whoa, that's really cool. And, for me, the toughest things are just getting it how I want it. Cause I'll be up all night doing it where, the guys in my shop or, I'm like, can you hear the difference? And they're looking at me like, they do this all day long too. And they're like, I don't really hear anything, man. And like trying to, so those are the things that are definitely the most difficult for me because, there's just something that happens over time. I mean, I think it gets called mojo a lot of the times, but, there's something that happens to components. They get old, things change, values drift on them and stuff like that. And there's the same thing like troubleshooting. It's like you have everything right and you've measured everything out and matched it and, done all that. And it's just still not got that thing, there. And to try and recreate it, like an example would be, people get really wrapped up in component, numbers and, part numbers and all that kind of stuff where, that doesn't mean much because, it's like if I have like a 2N5088, it's like one of the, it's kind of the, generic, BJT transistor that's, you can use for almost anything. It's just right in the middle, does everything well, functions well, been around forever. But, if you have one of those from now versus one that were in the, some of the old muffs, like from the 70s, they might as well be different transistors.
Yeah.
They don't share anything in common. They just except for the name that's printed on them.
I have a few old MXRs myself, and I've had one of them worked on, and I've been told that, a lot of the pedals from the 70s, if they made several of them, that the components inside could be just different. Not. I mean, they could have the same value on the component, but they're all just a little bit different.
Well, it's just technology. Like they didn't have the ability to make things as consistent,
right?
And also, I mean, a lot of those companies back then, they didn't anticipate dorks like us, pulling them apart and measuring everything out.
Exactly.
And, doing stuff. So they would just throw whatever they wanted in there and be like, "Yeah, it works." It
Here
phases.
it is. They needed money then.
And they've probably figured that 40 or 50 years from the time they built them that they weren't going to be working anyhow.
Yeah, they were going to buy the new version,
I know that a lot of yours are based on electro-harmonics style or fuzz face and stuff. Do you ever get requests to do like tone bender or super fuzz, or have you ever explored those kind of circuits? Or
Oh yeah, I mean I'd say, it's funny. We got put on the map because of, Big Muffs, because everything just sort of spread out from there. And at the time, it's another one, where, the Electro-Harmonix wasn't doing any reissues or anything of those old ones. And, so it was kind of an open thing that I was able to get my, sort of a niche into. Mm-hmm. And that's how I learned, it just taught me so much. But, same with, fuzz faces and that, like, when I didn't even like fuzz faces. I started making those, I was like, when I started learning about it, I was like, I don't get it. I can't get them to sound good on my guitar and all that. And, I like pedals. You have to kind of struggle to understand them. And then then you're like, well, this is so cool. Like, I didn't know that the volume knob on your guitar was a thing. Like, I always just turned everything up to 10 and would play. Didn't know you could roll it off and get cool responses from pedals and stuff. But, that's how I got into, really, really doing fuzz faces. But yeah, we've done, I did a run for a company in France that was all tone benders, which are, if you're making germanium tone benders from vintage germanium transistors, they're a pain in the ass, man.
Yeah.
They're really, really hard to get right. I mean, you can just make one that works easy, but to really get them to sound like right and to sound good, it's something about, they rely on, the impedance being kind of funky. Same with the fuzz face, how it interacts with your pickups. Mm-hmm. And something about that setup with those three, it's not a very ideal setup. And there's a million ways better to do what it does, but to really stick to those old specs and everything and dial it in, it's a pain in the butt. Like, I don't know if I ever want to do another run of tone benders, because they're just, and again, I don't mean to be like, I'm Mr. High Quality, but like, I can't, like, you could do a run of tone. I mean, the circuit's the same thing. It's really easy. It's not complicated. It's like 3/4 of a Big Muff. But to really get it to sound good and not be too noisy and respond to the volume knob on your guitar how it's supposed to. Right. It's a pain, man, because those germanium transistors are so wonky too. But yeah, I've done that. Our Gold Comp compressor, that's probably second favorite pedal of mine that we make, which is, it's funny because unlike Keeley, who kind of, he got on the map with his compressor, it's compressors for most companies are always kind of like an okay seller because, guitarists, there's not a lot of guitars that get real excited over compressors, and if you got to kind of you can't be like a new guitar player that's like, just want something that'll like fuzz loud or make cool noises and stuff. It's like, you got to kind of have played for a while and kind of understand what a compressor will do for you, understand what it won't do. Otherwise you just kind of turn it on and you're like, this is just kind of makes it sound worse. If you've never, if you've had one of the old,
it's a tricky thing.
And it just kind of squashes everything. And if you don't know where to put it in your chain, or you don't know what to do, it gets weird. So, it's not a real big, like, we have this compressor and everyone's like, whoa, that's so cool, But, I worked really hard on that one and really had a lot of fun, like experimenting with it and stuff. It's one of my favorites. But, it's not, when people think Wren and Cuff, they don't think of that compressor, And then we've got some stuff coming out in the future that's, it's out there. But I don't know, I'm always with like, the obvious kind of next step that everybody, would usually do would be you make a delay, after you've done fuzzes and choruses and compressors and all that. But I'm kind of torn on doing a delay because I just feel like there's guys now that do it so well. Yeah. That I don't really know what I would bring to the table on it, speaking honestly. Yeah. Unless I can, because it's the same thing. You could throw one together and it'd be cool and, I'm sure it'd be neat, but it's like, I'm competing with guys like Joel from, Chase Bliss and, and stuff like that, where it's like, I don't think I can do that better. Like, I just, Yeah, for sure. Matthew from Alexander, those guys just do that stuff so well that I'm like, if anything, I could come up with some sort of unusual take on it and do something, but And I'm also not a delay guy. So that's also like, I'll use that DD2 for a couple things here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But, I gotta be into what I'm making, I gotta want to do it and that. So no, I'll never say never, but, it's, that's not really something. The chorus that we do, the Sonder, though, that's difficult, but really fun. And my friend from Greenhouse Effects, my friend Roy, helped me get it all together and everything. And, I love that pedal. But it's the same thing. It's hard when you're known for something, and then you make something else, they're not going to be flying off the door,
mm-hmm.
And so there's always the temptation to come back to what you're known for and what you do well and everything. And so it's always kind of, it's like same thing as being in a band, if you become a successful band and you want to branch out, but people are like, no, you do this thing really well. Like, don't do that other thing, do this thing, so at a certain point you might, you either have to just sort of do what you do well, or you got to just say, screw it and take a chance and like really go dive into something kind of out there, which is kind of at the point that I'm at, I think,
sure.
I think I'm going to try and come up with some really, really, I already have come up with some really, what I think are unique ideas on stuff that are still very usable and desirable, because I don't get too into where it's just really wacky and noisy, because
mm-hmm.
that's another one. I feel like guys, do it really well. Like, what's his name in New York? Death by Audio, and like,
oh yeah,
that kind of stuff where it's like, I'm always trying to come up with, what to do next, because
mm-hmm.
It's a super competitive field, of course. I don't know if that answers your question, but
yeah.
I got sidetracked there.
Yeah.
But
No, that's good.
I had a lot of coffee and.
Well, speaking of doing something you do well, and I think what is probably getting maybe arguably the most attention right now, maybe it's because it's one of your newer ones, but you have the I'm going to probably say this wrong, but the De La Riva.
Yeah, that's where I was. I was avoiding going to that because I knew we were coming around to it. So,
yeah. Well, perfect segue. Look what I just did.
Whoa, you're good at this, Todd.
It's actually, everyone. I just assumed everyone's going to call it the De La Riva when I made it, because I wasn't going to go around correcting it. But it's actually the De La Riva.
That's yes.
It's a Brazilian name, and the Brazilians speak Portuguese, and R's are usually H's, as far as how it sounds. And I do jujitsu, and one of the old practitioners was, a guy, and that's his last name is De La Riva, and he developed this whole system and everything, and a bunch of stories that only guys in jiu-jitsu would care about. But I always liked the name, just the way the name sounded. I just always thought was really cool.
That actually came up in the comments when I posted on that, and it turned into this big long lesson about this jiu-jitsu move, and I was like, oh, look at this happening right here.
Yeah, it's more of it's not really gonna keep it really short and interesting to someone who doesn't care about it, but it's not really it's not because I know this one well. I start talking to my employees or my wife or anybody else about it. I see this like glaze go over their eyes. Right. Well, you know what? It's a lot like talking about pedals with somebody who doesn't have any idea about pedals, and you're like, and then there's this, and you just see them go like they just check out.
No, but it's really cool. Just hang.
At least you're aware about it, right?
Yeah. Love it.
But it's not really a move. It's this guy, like it's a whole set of techniques, that he did, that he developed a long time ago. And so it's kind of if you're a jiu-jitsu guy, you can be if you're a De La Riva heavy guy, you do a lot of those specific, techniques folded into what you do. Well, and I also tied it in with this name because his style is really versatile and does a million different things. So does the pedal. So in my mind, it fits.
You have all the versatility to get the tone quality. So it's not a pedal that has a ton of functionality. It just has a ton of tonality. Ooh. You can use that or not.
Yeah. I don't even know if I know what that means.
Yeah, neither does Todd.
Functionality, tonality.
Yeah.
So when I got
Tonalacious, you could say.
Tonalation. Yes.
yes,
Tonalation.
Yeah.
tonsillitis.
Tonusion.
So when this was the pedal that I really enjoyed, and I said, oh, okay, this is kind of like one of my old Sans amps. Well, it's nothing like an old Sans amp. Although from the functionality, it's like a double Sans amp. I mean, from looks. But the one thing that really impressed me about this pedal is it seemed like no matter what combination of the dip switches that you put in, there was something either different or good or improved, or I just thought it was a very tunable pedal to whatever your particular taste might be.
Absolutely. For those who don't know exactly what we're talking about, essentially it looks like a pretty standard pedal, and except there are 2 banks of dip switches on here that, I mean, there's got to be 100,000 different tones. I'm literally doing the math. I'm not making this up, but I'm not doing the math. But so I am making it up. Sorry. but what I'm saying is, if you did a matrix, it would probably be some astronomical number of actual tones you could get.
Well, we could actually figure that out.
Although I read the email you sent, apparently you didn't read the manual.
I didn't. But then I did. Again,
because the manual tells you just how many there are.
Well, it said 29. There was 29. What? No,
how many different unique combinations that you can get on?
No, it does say that, but I mean, from in one of the.
I'm not really offended that you didn't read it. By the way, I'm just messing.
I had to because I couldn't figure it out at first.
Is it 30 factorial? Is that the?
There's
mathematical.
There's 30 switches on the front.
Yeah. So in the mathematical terms, there's a factorial.
Exactly.
And it's 30 times 29 times 28 times 27.
Yes,
times
all
26.
that stuff.
Yes.
But then you factor in depending on what pickup you might be using,
or
like
which
bridge,
or which transistor you're using.
Right.
Oh my goodness,
it's crazy pants.
Too many variables.
Yeah. It is.
Cut that dang thing in half. Let's just go with 15.
It was in fact inspired by the Sans amp. Although everyone, it seems to be online. Most people think it was inspired by the Chase Bliss pedals. And Joel is a pretty good buddy of mine, and so it was kind of I had always wanted to do one because I love the old Sans amps, because I just liked they weren't the best sounding things, but it was just so much fun to have that tactile experience of being able to flick the switches and do all that and look in the manual, and it would and they would say like, this is the hot California sound.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
It's supposed to be like a hot rodded Marshall or something. And then the tweed sound, and it maybe kind of sort of sounded like a tweed, but not really.
Yeah.
And, I just always thought that would be a cool idea for it. And then I became, I started becoming like a little more buddies with Joel, and I was like, oh, I think this would be really cool. People are really into his pedals. So he seems to sell a couple pedals here and there, and it's over 8 million, by the way. That's how many combos there are.
Jeez,
wow!
If you do unique combos on there,
yeah.
You know what? You want to know something really funny?
Yeah.
Is that the number for the combinations on the pedal is actually it's 8,388,000 or 388,000 different combos possible, but I just said 4 million. I don't know what I was thinking. And then when I was on another podcast actually about it, I was saying 8 billion. So I somehow got my B and my M mixed up. So now on 2 different podcasts, I've said the wrong number.
Well, let's just set the record straight right now.
It's actually 8 trillion.
Or you can make a number up. Who cares?
Yeah. 42.
No, it's 8,388,608. And it sounds like I kept looking. I was like, it's not. No, my crappy San Diego high school math is like showing itself. I just couldn't believe it. I went to my son, and because there's 23 switches on there total,
right?
Not counting the on off. And I went to my son, who at the his freshman had just started high school, and I was like, I have this pedal. I'm like, how many combos is that? He's like, oh, it's going to be over 8 million. Like, didn't even think about it. And I was like, oh, man, because it's 2 to the 23rd power. But I was like, 220, they're like 46. You know, like, I'm doing like 2 times 23. Wow. And I'm like, there's no way. And like, we went on and on about it. I was like, I'm sorry, bud. There's no way. I look at the little switches. I'm like, there's no way there's 8 million different combos of it. It's like, it is. Look it up. And so I go online and I found this math forum of all these like super high level math guys. And so I put this whole scenario up. I was like, okay, I didn't want to explain the whole pedal thing. I was like, I have 23 light switches and I have 23 lights, and each one of these has a switch, just an on off switch. And, if I have these 23 lights, how many different combinations of the lights being on and off on or off can I get? And the first 3 answers are like, well, it's 8,388,608. So, I guess it's correct. I still don't believe it, but
wow.
but
Well, it
that's
sounds
what the
good.
math says, and
Nobody's going to tell you otherwise, except another math person.
That's the very like analog inconvenient part of it, is that, which I like about it, of course. I said I like sort of weird, difficult things, that if you get a sound, like, the manual comes with a little pen and some blank templates.
Yeah, that was
so
really cool.
Yeah, the shortcut to that, though, is just take a picture with your cell phone. But
yeah, right.
You want to save your sound, so it's really a great. But I also got to, because I know they'll be listening, I got to give my employee Ray Rosas. He's a really good employee, and he did a lot of the grunt work on this. I kind of explained what I wanted to do and how I wanted to switch out these parallel and series resistors and caps and everything. And he chipped away at it. Then I would kind of come in and be like, okay, let's do this, let's change this. But he put a lot of hours into it, making it happen and getting the figures down too. So between the two of us, came up with I think it's a really, really, really great pedal. It's a lot of fun.
It's pretty remarkable. I mean, it really is. Aside from the novelty of going, I can have 8 million blah 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 sounds, it sounds great, and it's not one of those things where it's like it's got a million different things, so at some point it's going to get super crazy wacky. It doesn't. It's that they're all core sounds that sound fantastic, and the fact that you can switch that up, like as soon as you find something you like, and then you're like, well, so what I did, I set it and I said, oh, this sounds amazing. I'm gonna switch out from my P90s and try it with my semi-hollow humbuckers, and it was like, whoa, I bet that doesn't sound quite as awesome as it did with this one, but I bet I can find another sound, and that sounded better. Then I switched that out to a Tele style, and I was like, wow, I got to find a different sound. It was great. It was fantastic. Great fun. Yeah,
it's weird. What's funny too is that was one of the hardest parts with it was trying to make, because it's not like digital where you can just throw a bunch of stuff in. Like, you are still limited with a switch of you can make one change in the circuit, the DIP switch, while you're trying to find what you're going to do with that one point, and trying to find that, how extreme or not extreme you wanted to go with that was took a lot of trial and error, and a lot of like, I think it sounds good, and then come back to it 4 days later and it doesn't sound so good. And that was one of the hardest parts of it, was trying to find how, because I did, and you kind of nailed it on the head, I did want it to still be very usable. And what the funny is, like, a lot of the input that I've gotten, a lot of the things that I've seen are people's favorite sounds on it are not the most muff-like sounds. And a lot of people like the drivey kind of sounds, or these you can get like these weird 60s sort of buzzy kind of buzz sound, those kind of like this Satisfaction.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of people like those tones out of it and stuff, which so.
No, now we got to pay for that. Great, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're worried about cussing. You gotta pay for it.
What costs you more?
Right. Well, we appreciate that you went to the great effort to make that, and I think one thing that it also took was probably a tremendous amount of restraint to not just go crazy on it, all the sounds.
Or a third bank of 10 dip switches.
It's always hard. It's like, it's also hard, like when you're trying to figure, you run a business and, you can't always just do everything how you want it unless, you're a business. So you're making things for other people. It's, so you do have to ride that line, and it can get tricky as far as like, who you want to please and how you want to do it and how extreme you want to go. But I really feel like we were able to strike a really good balance with that. Proud of being able to do that.
Yeah, well, you should be. That's actually a really good segue, not being proud, but the ability to let people get the sounds they want, because now you're offering something which I was delighted by when I got the tall font to play with, which is the custom shop. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Which one did we send you? We sent so many recently, so many comps of those out. I can't remember exactly. We sent you the tall font it was the red tall font with a bleed, which I was just like, I called Tony up and I was just giddy. Oh, the clean blend, yeah.
Yeah, it's got the clean blend, not the bleed, sorry, yeah. It's got the clean blend, and it also had the creamy toggles on them.
The creamy and then the mid-flat.
That's right.
Oh,
and
man.
So
you got the full Monty.
Yeah, it was great. And I
think I told one of the guys in my shop, I'm like, just send this jerk some pedal.
It was, it really was. It was some pedal. And one of the things that I commented on immediately with one of our episodes, they were like, "Oh, what did you do this week?" And I said, "I played with this pedal," and it was so cool because it was one of the first times that I was able to say I can have fuzz, but my tone doesn't have to sound like I just stepped on a fuzz pedal, and now it just sounds like that. I really appreciated that. So and the fact that, as we mentioned earlier in the show tonight, that it isn't just like goosed all the way into, like all the volume and all the fuzz and everything. It's like you really have to work with it, but once you do, your guitar tone and your amp tone are right there with it.
Yeah, I mean, and it does have on the creamy mod, the kind of point of that is it will do that like totally blown out, like too much fuzz thing also. And I mean, it's called the creamy mod. I don't think it sounds creamy at all. It's just there was, for years in the pedal community, there was the creamy dreamer mod people would do to muffs that supposedly Billy Corgan liked, and
right.
But it all turned out to not be true. Dad Billy Corgan never did that on any of his pedals, and it was just one of those things that went around.
Yeah,
but it's a cool mod, but you're taking away two resistors, so it opens everything up like too much. I mean, there's a reason those resistors are there.
Yeah, and
it opens it up too much, almost so it just like gets this like crazy boost and like blast. So it's called creamy for the Creamy Dreamer mod, and even though the Creamy Dreamer mod's not really anything to do with creamy dreaming, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
If you want to call it that.
So anyways,
there you are. So there he is. So anyways.
Right.
Todd's like, I got stuff to do, man. I don't want to be stuck here. But yeah, if I can give the whole, pitch of it and all
Absolutely.
that stuff, it's it's our custom shop that we opened, and I wanted to do it on like a whole different site just to have some nice separation there. And, you can basically build up your own mods, and you can pick the LED color and the closure color and all that. And, my son, now he's a sophomore, he's almost 16. But he's kind of a computer wizard. And, I went to him and he was like, I could do your site. I could do this. And he could sort of do web stuff then, this is like 6 months ago. And I was like, all right, here's what I want. Cause we already had the custom shop out, but it always bugged me that you couldn't like real time build it. Meaning, you couldn't like click on a color and then, you could do the color thing, but you couldn't do like, pick a mod and it'll show where the toggle switch is and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And, you know, kind of like if you've ever been like online car shopping and you can pick the color and you can, you know, fantasize about what kind you want and what colors and all that kind of stuff. I was like, I want that. And that's something that you can't do with any of the like Squarespace or Shopify or any of that kind of stuff. It's just too specialized. And he was like, I can figure that out. And I was like, I don't know, man. And so he like went in and figured out this whole other kind of, he uses these components. It's called React. It's different from how websites are made and everything, but he nailed it. He got it. And so we just relaunched. Even if you've checked out the site, you probably haven't even seen it yet, but we just did it's called a soft launch where we don't announce it. We don't make sure there's no bugs in it or anything. But now, I don't know if you guys are on laptops or whatever, but you can go to the site and if you pick a pedal, you know, if you just like hover over a color, it shows you that color. You know, you can pick your LED, pick your toggle on it. And so you'll see exactly what it's going to look like before you buy it. You can try out all, you know, different mods and stuff like that. So I'm really excited about because you can, if you know, the listener that has no idea what it is, you can go on there, you can pick one of our pedals that you like, and you can choose whatever color you want it to be. You know, there's all the basic colors you'd expect are in there.
Right.
And then you can choose your LED color. You can just get it stock if you want, where it's got the colors, but it's the same pedal. You don't want to do anything to it, but you can also add some mods. There's going to be more mods coming too, but right now it's you can do the mid flat mod, which is just flat, exactly what it says. It removes the characteristic scoop, that makes a big muff sound like a big muff, essentially. Right. That nice notch in there. And then you can do that, the creamy mod that we already talked about, or you can add a clean blend to it, or you can do all three. And just like a really fun thing. It's like what I wanted when I went to my own site. I was like, I could do this, and that's there. And it's, just relaunched it or just launched it, did the soft launch, like I said. And then, I'm going to do the whole like blast and announce it to everybody once we're just 100% positive. There's no quirks in it. Yeah. Or anything, but that's kind of what the J Mascis pedal and then that are what I'm really excited about right now. It's good, it's a lot of fun. We've worked things out here where we have the ability to do that.
That's awesome.
Took a lot of changing stuff around to be able to swap out colors and do that kind of stuff on the fly and everything. So
Tony's been doing that fun. This whole time. He's been swapping out all the colors. He's like, look at this one. Look at this one. Look at this one.
That's a cool.
There you go.
That's a cool feator. I love
right
that.
there on the phone, nice and easy. So if you're listening to this,
is it working good?
It's working great.
Yeah.
No bugs.
Well, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
It works.
What's the website again?
WCCustomshop.com.
Cool. All right.
No, I didn't want to make it Wren and Cuff Custom Shop because that's just really long.
I'm sure it is.
It fit into the browser window. So,
well,
yeah. And then we have to do my, one of my last plugs is we have a newsletter. And if you sign up for it, we sometimes do what's called private sales where we do a blast and it's like ridiculous deals that you can't get. We basically put a link up. And this is like through our custom shop, but you can do it through our regular too. Is you put a link up that's not visible on the site anywhere.
Nice.
And nobody can access it or anything without a direct link to it. And there's stuff that we may have one or two pedals that got scratched up a little bit or something, or and we have
scratch and dent
along
sale.
with it being a scratch and dent. It'll also be discounted just because it's the private sale, and so it's not like a bogus thing like private sale. 5% off, it's not like that. It's like if you're on that list, you can really, stuff just goes like, crazy. Like I launched it, last one that we did, I launched at midnight. I figured, my thinking was, people will wake up to it in the morning. And by morning, it was all sold out.
Wow, that's cool.
So people were really bummed. They're like, I don't even get up that early, man. I was like, I don't know. I didn't even. So if you get, I know there's always the sign our newsletter pitch for, everything online nowadays. And nobody wants to, but it's a real thing. If you sign up for it and you like good pedal deals and stuff, it's a fun one.
All right.
Lots of
big
fun.
bargain.
We're pushing that right now. We just pushed it. That's cool. Very cool. Man, I really appreciate you sharing all this with us. It has checked off one of my boxes to get Wren and Cuff on the show, and I've been thrilled this entire time. Not even for a moment have I been unthrilled.
I hope I didn't ramble too much.
No, man, it was all good. We love hearing all the color about, what you're doing and how you're doing it. That's why we do this show.
And I appreciate you asking me to be on there too. So
yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for thinking I'm interesting enough to talk to.
Yeah. Jared?
Ladies and gentlemen, it has come to the time in the podcast where I sing this little jingle, and it goes like this.
Oh, no.
A single, a jingle.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me do it. Would you... Would you rather... Okay.
Right. Pretty good.
All right. Thank you.
Abbreviated.
Thank you.
Abbreviated jingle.
Yeah. This week's Would You Rather is brought to us by our good old buddy Jonathan Jerusik.
Yes, sir.
His Would You Rather is, would you rather have the best 4-channel amp with an easy-to-use, clean, low gain, mid gain, high gain, or would you rather have a nice, clean amp and 3 pedals for your gain stages? Which would you rather do?
Monsieur Bellone.
Boy. Well, wow.
This is a pretty guitar nerd question, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is deep. This is deep stuff.
This you'd see how quickly people's eyes would roll up that don't do this stuff.
Oh my God! I can't believe you're still listening to that podcast.
That'd be like me going into the explanation about what heel hooks are.
I think, gosh, I'm going to go with the 4-channel amp that's easy to use. As long as it's easy to use.
Does it have a pedal thing that you plug in the back?
I'm sure it's got something. I'm
So
guessing this is like a Mesa Boogie kind of thing.
Yeah, you could switch
only
channels.
less complicated. Yeah. So I kind of like that idea rather than doing the pedal thing, which, to me, I guess maybe the internal switching and the internal gain stages in the amp itself might make for a better sound.
Okay.
That's what I think I'm going with that.
All right, do it. Jared?
I'm going with the pedals. So I mean that way you can choose.
You better say that. I'm on right now.
Well, I mean
Pedals are for losers, man.
okay. I mean you guys could say whatever you want, but you're able to choose. Which pedal you're going to put in that position.
Yeah.
Are we saying that you can't use pedals if you pick the other one?
Yes.
It's either one or the other, and that's it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I'm gonna go with individual pedals that you would just add to your pedal board.
Okay.
All right.
Matt, how about you?
The clean amp and the pedals. I mean, that's pretty much what I do anyways. So
Yeah.
because I'm a Fender amp guy, so really loud amps that don't break up very well, and I use pedals. So
Yeah.
Cool.
it's a no-brainer for me.
I'm right there with you. I really enjoy stacking my gain, and
So once again, you guys are all ganging up on me,
Yeah.
are you?
Yeah.
You make me go first. You
That's
notice how
right.
he always makes me go first so I can
Yep.
be the odd man out?
If you would have chose the opposite, then we would have chose the opposite.
Yeah, this is
What
like
you chose.
opposite talk.
that's
Jeez.
right. That is true.
I
Hey,
like being the contrary guy, but I had to just be honest.
Yeah.
with myself.
yeah.
Honesty counts.
Yeah. Matt, where can people find your pedals?
Well, we're on the World Wide Web, which is definitely becoming popular.
I think I read an article about that.
Yeah.
No, in the newspaper.
We're all the usual places, and we have a ton of dealers. If you go on our site, you can see our list of dealers everywhere. So we're proud to have a lot of smaller mom and pop kind of stores on our end. We got the bigger ones like Chicago Music and those types that. So it's not hard to find. Unfortunately, it is hard if you're like kind of live in a smaller place and there's no music store that carries this around. But if you buy directly from us or even most of our dealers, that's real easy to try something and return it if you don't like it. So
Cool.
all the usual places. Hit a Google search and pour over everything and look for the cheapest thing you can find. like we all do.
Right.
So here's what I'll do. I don't know how you guys want to do, how you guys do giveaways and that kind of stuff. But since you guys were boneheads and sent back those pedals, what I'll do is I'm going to send you two De La Rivas and 2 custom shop pedals, and you can keep one of each, and you guys can decide.
Yes. Yes. That's awesome.
Wow.
And then give away 2 of them.
Yay!
Wow, that's outstanding.
I'm sorry. Give away one. Yeah, give away one of each. Keep one of each.
I get the De La Riva.
That is outstanding. Wow. All right. Wow.
That is incredibly generous.
Wow.
And here's what I'm going to do. Right now, I've written down on a piece of paper 10 numbers. All right. Even though you can't see this, I promise I'm being honest. And we're gonna this will be for the De La Riva. You guys go around and say a single number, and whoever hits that number gets that one. So they'll get.
Oh.
I mean, you guys don't have to. You guys could behind my back say, "Well, I really want this one," or whatever. But just for sake of this, that's that'll be who gets it.
Okay.
The one that I'm sending for free, that I'm sending back.
Okay.
So pick a number. I'll start with you, Todd.
I'm gonna go for 3.
Oh my God, dude. I swear to God on my life, you just nailed it. I swear to God. I swear to God. I swear on I have 2 kids. I swear on my children. I'm looking at the number right in front of me right now.
I love having guests, but suck up guests. I just have to put my foot down.
And it makes it kind of lame because we don't get to go around and have the fun. But I swear to God, you just nailed it. Swear to God, we still have one more to go, and if the first person nails it, then that's really going to be kind of a bummer. Okay. I could have just lied and went like, nope. But I swear to God, you nailed it. And then the other custom shop pedal, here's what we'll do. I'm going to go number 1 through 15. Stretch it out a little bit more. All right, go ahead.
I'm going with number 15 then.
1,
10,
7,
8,
9,
13,
2, 12.
No.
Oh crap.
14.
4. Whoever just said 4.
What a fun game. That's a fun game.
Yeah,
wow.
So you guys, I'll send those out. You guys can keep the 2, and then
wow, that's really
super generous.
That's incredible.
So what we'll do is for as far as coupons go and that kind of stuff, you put in guitar knobs in the coupon box for 1 week from whenever this airs. It will take 15% off of whatever you order. And that'll go for both our regular and our custom shop.
Holy moly, that's great.
Outstanding.
Very, very cool.
1 week. That means everybody's got to get right on that. As soon as you hear this, you get on over to Wren and Cuff and or WCCustomShop.com.
Exactly.
And you're going to get 15% off of whatever you order.
Yep.
That's amazing. With guitar knobs as the code. All right. And share out what you get when it gets there. That's what you're going to do for us. Everybody out there. That is hugely generous. Like generous beyond generosity. Whatever the word for that is in German. I'm sure it's a very long one.
Braunschweiger, I believe.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Braunschweiger.
Boy, oh boy, what an episode this is. Tony, we got some people to thank.
Yes, at this point in the show, Todd, we like to thank a certain group of people. We call them our executive producers.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
And there's probably someone driving right down the road saying, hey, how do I become an executive producer? Mm-hmm. I want to be thanked on this particular podcast.
Me,
I want to make it in the industry.
Yeah. So let's just say, you gotta cough up a little bit of money, but it's great. It's money. Well, it's an investment.
You're supporting us.
You're supporting us.
Supporting this show
In a good way.
keeping the lights on.
Like one of those meals where you donate a bunch of money and eat with a senator or something, right?
It's very similar.
It's exactly like
the
that.
captain's meal.
Yeah.
So anyhow, you go over to patreon.com/the guitar knobs. Mm-hmm. You'll see a couple of different levels that you can participate in. Each level has its own amount of swag. That includes things like barefoot buttons, stickers, picks, T-shirts, all kinds of stuff. Keychains, pins,
all kinds of, and giveaways.
And you qualify for giveaways, which is
that's the biggie.
That's probably better than anything under the sun.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. In addition to all that great stuff, Jared, what happens?
Well, You get to have your name read on the thing.
Your name read on the thing.
That's right.
And that's what I'm going to do right now. So let's start with our newest executive producers. How about Mr. Cody Lane?
Yay.
Welcome.
Cody provided
Lane.
us with a nice note earlier on, as well as his personal 4 on the floor.
Correct.
That was nice.
Yep.
Justin Jones.
Justin Jones.
Tommy Manesco, David Kaminga, Ty Harmon, Michael Senchuk, John Esterly, John Anglin, Ken Sayers, Sean S. Anthony Lathrop, Johnny Knowles, Stefan Lamb, Jonathan Daly, Michael Van Zant, Tom Barazin, Tyler Bray, Chris Kearney, Doug Gann, Tim Novak, Doug Christ, Brian Robison, Darren Gregory, and Corey Nagro.
The carpenter from Boston.
Amanda Hugginkiss. But
You're missing Jonathan.
come on, Simpsons, man.
Oh, Jonathan Jerusik.
How did I miss Jonathan Jerusik?
Oh, you missed JJ.
JJ, how did I miss you? I'm sorry, man. Jonathan Jerusik.
He had the Would You Rather today.
This is unacceptable.
You wrote the list.
No, this is totally unacceptable.
Anyways, Tony, where
Yes.
can people find your
Anyways.
wares? Yeah, that's what I do all day. Go ahead.
And let's just say you need a special pick guard. Something that really shows how committed you are to your personal guitar.
One
Go
that
on.
says JJ on
One
it.
that says Jonathan Jerusik.
You could have that.
Jonathan, I'm going to take care of you, bud. Send me an email. I feel bad that your name wasn't on the list. Go over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the stuff that I offer there. If you want to see some of the projects, like the Eric Carmen Joan Jett,
Yep.
I post a lot of that on Instagram. That's Pick Guardian and the number 1
Easiest way to dress up your guitar, mighty quick.
with a pick guard.
Yep. Jared, how about yourself?
If anybody needs some new pickups or old pickup that doesn't work rewound, get a hold of me at Brandon Wound Pickups. And email is jared@brandonwoundpickups.com.
Okay, and you can drop me a line, Todd at theguitarknobs.com. That's the email. You can also DM me on Instagram at guitarknobs. And we like to talk to you, so talk to us. Send us your Would You Rathers. We love getting those. Those are super fun. Boy, oh boy. Matt, thank you so much for joining us and for hanging out the entire time. Yeah, no.
It was a good time, man.
Super fun time, and we hope everybody enjoyed this. Make sure you get over to Wren and Cuff, check out those pedals, and check out the WC Custom Shop to create your own on the fly. And don't miss out on that 15% when this thing hits. Everybody, please have a fantastic guitar week. We thank you for listening. Subscribe!
Yep.
Make sure there's no bad words in it.
Braunschweiger! Pretty cool. Morons.
Yeah, just try not to suck. Okay?
Yeah, right.
You guys watch Baskets by any chance, that show?
Hey, with a guitar like that, you get a free bowl of soup.
My dog's got to pee.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood.
But it looks good on you.
Well, the guy that plays his mom is just fantastic.
Louis Anderson.
He's great in that
He's
show.
okay.
Something or other in this neighborhood. Won't you be mine?
Hey, everybody, this is Matt from Wren and Cuff.
Won't you be mine?
How crazy is that?
Won't you be my neighbor? Be my neighbor, Tony Baloney.
Let's go get mimosas.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.